My name's Monkey D. Luffy. Hi.
What's going on, everyone? In this week's video, we're going to do something different. I'm going to compare two figures of the same line, SH Figuarts Monkey D. Luffy Romance Dawn and Marineford. These figures look almost identical other than the colors, so I just have two questions. Are they the same figure? And is it worth grabbing to have both? If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you want to see in the future, and let's just jump right into this comparison. When you put these two side by side, the Romance Dawn on the left has a lot more accessories, and on the right, the colors are a bit different on the hat. So it's kind of confusing. You can sit here and say they look the same, but they come with different things. And so you really kind of want to get into it and see what the similarities are and the differences are. And so with the faceplates, here's the faceplates difference. On the left, you have Romance Dawn. It's got the yelling face, the smiling grin, and the chewing the meat face. And on the right, you have the battle damage Marineford faces with the crying face, the gritting teeth, and that kind of like in between mad and look. And quickly, I just want to show the hat differences. The Marineford hat has kind of a darker color or muted with the drawstring and can't be worn by the figure. And the Romance Dawn, it comes with the extra headpiece and it can be put on top of his head and worn. And it's got no drawstring and is much brighter yellow. Here's both of them side by side, and I just wanted to show a comparison so you could see the difference in the two. But that's about it for the accessories and the difference. Obviously, at the beginning, you could see the piece of meat came with the Romance Dawn Luffy, and the Marineford came with like absolutely nothing, just some hands and a hat. And that's about it. So now I'm gonna jump into the section where we're gonna look under the hood and check out the actual engineering of the figure.
All right, and so like a car, we're gonna break down under the hood what the difference is between these two figures. And let's go with Marineford. All right, so on the outside, you know, like I said, the body is different like a car. One big difference I noticed right away was the pants. See, the Marineford has a gap right there. Right there. And the Romance Dawn Luffy does not. Now, do I think that's so they can get a better bend right here? Let's try. And it seems like minute differences in that. So
another thing that I noticed in the engineering differences is you can see on the right, the Marineford Luffy with the red shorts has some sort of like new thigh twist joint section, whereas the one on the left doesn't. It's just the whole upper hamstring and glute, basically the booty and the upper leg, have one piece, and it, you know, pivots there in the knee in that section. The Marineford has something the opposite. It has like an extra, like, you know, pose feature there, and those were some of the differences I saw there.
But we're going to continue and stay with the leg. So what I'm going to do is pop off the leg, and down in there, it looks pretty much just like the Romance Dawn one. So essentially, the lower half is the same exact design. Now, the only way I could tell the difference between these two legs is the Marineford has obviously the cosmetic changes with the scratches, but overall, I know my hands are in the way. This is terrible, but the legs, the same exact same thing. Only difference is my Romance Dawn Luffy, I've messed with so much that the joints are completely loose and blown out, but they have basically more or less the same articulation points, you know, same movement. So let's move on from that. We're taking these completely apart right now. And so we're going to keep the legs off just so we maintain where we're at. And now the arm. So that's the joint. And here's the peg and the arm. There's a peg in the arm. Now I will say that I had a hard time. Oh, there it is. So compare the two. Again, they're exactly the same. So what I'm thinking is these two figures basically are the exact same chassis underneath. You know, think of like a car. Same chassis, same frame, same motor, different body kit, different paint jobs. And now we're gonna pop the head off. Pop the head off on this one, and essentially they are more or less the same, except right there. Very minor difference. This is designed a little differently than this one. But now we're going to move to the midsection, and that is the midsection of the Romance Dawn. I know for you guys, I'm deciding to destroy my figures As you can see, there's a little groove right here. And now we're going to do the Marineford. Pop that apart. And it does not have that same groove. Come on, focus. It does not have that same groove as the Romance Dawn. But essentially, these figures are more or less the same. Like 95% of them are the same exact design. There's little differences, as you like we've pointed out already. You know, there's no groove. You know, Marineford, Romance Dawn, no groove. This is probably for an ab crunch. Let's test it real quick without the thing on. And there you go. Now let's do the Marineford without the thing on. And more or less, they have the same ab crunch. Sorry for the blur. It's hard for me to see right now doing this compare video. This is my first, so just bear with me. But more or less, these figures are identical when it comes down to the engineering, minus those few little things. And as we showed earlier in the video, the other key differences obviously are the faceplates. They're very different, but almost similar, but they're different. And obviously the color scheme is, you know, different. This one has like a battle damaged look, different color from a different arc, the Marineford arc. This is from, you know, East Blue time, the beginning. They do make a battle damaged version of this. I've seen at Target, but I mean, they're damn near identical. Like, we could sit here and we could mix and match. Like, you know, we could go with this. Ooh, hold up. We might have just learned something on the fly. No, we didn't. Take that out. I'm an idiot. Add a meme. We didn't learn nothing. But see, it's kind of the same. More or less, just those minute little differences. The other differences, you know, the two differences is this gap in the pants and there's no groove here. Whereas this one, the Romance Dawn. Sorry for the shakiness. Oops. Oh, we have a broken part. That's never happened before. But I've used this a lot. I think this was supposed to help with the leg, you know, bendy dynamic. But we're moving back to that. They're almost the same. There's really no big difference other than I just totally smashed this part up inside there. So yeah, only thing I noticed under the hood is this little groove and that little gap in the pants back there.
And the leg pieces that are different.
And to show that these figures are pretty much the same, I did a swap of parts to change the colors. So we got half and half, and here's, you know, half a Romance Dawn Luffy and Marineford Luffy, same over here. And, you know, this just shows you that, you know, they're both pretty much the same. Now, the real question is it worth it to you? Now, as a One Piece fan, these figures' price points are like what I call the SHF entry level. They run about $35 a piece, which, you know, these days is, you know, adds up pretty quick. But for a nice, you know, premium action figure like this, the price is great for entry. And me being a huge fan of One Piece, or, you know, still getting through it, I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't hit Marineford yet. I'm at Thriller Bark. But I do know what happens. The internet spoiled everything for me. The figure for me was absolutely worth it because, you know, I want to have a variation. But to, you know, as kind of let's say a cruising buy kind of collector where they're not they know what One Piece is, they've watched a few episodes, it would be cool to have a Luffy in their arsenal, but they're not going to collect every single one. You know, you might want to pass on this. But they're the same figure, just different color schemes, slightly different face plates, two different arcs. Same price point. So it's up to you, the viewer, if it's worth it to you or not. Personally, I give both these figures a good rating of 8.5 out of 10. I really like them. I'm a huge SHF snob, so this might be a little bias in general. You guys know that I love these things. If you're new to my channel, I do a lot of SHF. Just my favorite figure line. If you're returning, you know I love the SHF. So I think it's worth it, especially if you're a One Piece fan. Definitely both figures get an 8.5 out of 10. Reason why I'm marking it down is just to be realistic. The Romance Dawn comes with, you know, a meat accessory that I think is nice. This one came with literally nothing otherwise, the faceplates and the hands. And the joints do get loose pretty quick. That's kind of like my complaining point, mostly. And the lack of accessories. I mean, really, it's a good figure, so 8.5 out of 10. I feel like it could come with more, but for $35, I'm not complaining. And we all know my rating system is based on just how I feel. So comparison-wise, these figures are damn near identical under the hood, but on the surface, they obviously have different colors, battle damage, and, you know, variant faceplates. So the key differences are the faceplates. They're slightly different that you saw earlier in the video. Nothing else really other than the color. And maybe this issue, you know, back here with the pants, or that there's that gap. And that's really my final thoughts. They're both great figures, but the real question to the viewer is, do you want more than one Luffy? And if you do, then it's absolutely worth grabbing the Marineford Luffy and the Romance Dawn Luffy. I think they're great. I love them. I'm glad I picked it up. And, you know, $35 can be, you know, a bit much for some people, but that's kind of, to me, between 27 and 35 is the average price of a good action figure these days. I mean, look at Marvel Legends. Their price has gone up and they still produce the same stuff over and over again. But with that said, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, I hope I earned your subscription and a like. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think of the Luffy's or the One Piece figure line in general. I do have an Usopp and a Sanji out there. I need to do the Nami and Zoro pretty soon. Probably this summer sometime in the year 2026 if you're watching this in the future. Whoa, the future. But as always, thanks again and stay frosty.